Hey, this is Graham English. Welcome to this special edition of Logic Studio training. This is for all the newbies who are about to install Logic Studio for the very first time. This file before you install Logic Studio will only be relevant if you are installing and you have Logic 7 or Logic Express already installed and you're upgrading or something like that, so you will want to read that. Obviously, the very first thing we want to do is install Logic Studio. Now I'll save you the boring part of everything that's going to happen next, but it makes sense to check out everything this includes, and it's quite a lot of software, quite a large library, and I'll explain how we can maybe make it smaller if you need to, or exactly what gets installed in and the relative size of each thing. So you just want to keep on going and read these. You want to read this stuff, but if you're like me, you will ignore that advice. And I will not share my serial number with you, so I'll be back in a second. Now I'm back, and we come to the actual custom install window where we can choose what we want to install. So we have Logic Pro, Soundtrack Pro, Main Stage, Wave Burner, Compressor Upgrade, Logic Studio Content. So here we have our Logic Studio Surround Impulse Responses, our Jam Packs, and you can see that comes with Jam Pack 1, Remix Tools, Rhythm Section, Orchestral, World Music. It does not come with the vocal one, unfortunately. Sound Effects, we can choose the Sound Effects, Music Beds, Music Loops. I'm going to install everything. This is a brand new computer, 320 gigs. I'm pretty excited about that. Extreme Analog, Extreme Digital, GarageBand Content, Logic Pro 7 Legacy. I'm not going to need to worry about that. Tools, Impulse Response Utility. Want that. And then let's look at the hardware support. If you had any of this stuff, you would want to put that in, but since I don't, I will not. And then we'll go on, and it's important to check out my time right now. It's approximately 3 p.m. And I'll probably see you back here at around 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Actually, I'm going to let a lot of this install while I go run errands, because that's exactly how, it's going to take a long time. So prepare, have a beer, a movie, whatever it is that you need to do to bide your time as this installs. Additional installation disks. So you need all your disks. I do have them ready. I'm going to go. See you down the road. This is worthy of a screen capture right here. Installing EXS24 samples, 15% complete, 4 hours and 26 minutes left to go. Yeah, it's going to be a long night. Alright, before I leave the house and let this run, I'll point out that it now says 2 hours and 46 minutes and about a half hour has passed, so it's not actually accurate. What I think Apple's doing is they're telling you it's going to be a lot longer than it is, so when it actually is short, you'll be really happy. I think their engineers thought of that, and they just want you to feel good. So thank them. Alright, and we're back, and notice the time, 7:21, and we started this at just a little bit before 3, so did it take 4 hours and 4.5 hours? No, it didn't, because I actually left the house for a couple hours, and I left right after I started one of the discs, and I was gone for maybe an hour and a half, came back and continued. So it doesn't take that long, but I went and got my hair cut, and while I was there was a camera crew shooting an episode of Animal Planet. It's a famous salon here in South Boston, and so I might be on TV. So life does happen while you're installing Logic Studio. And here I am at the install succeeded screen, and we can just close this out, and what do you know, we're good to go. Now we can launch Logic. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use Quicksilver, type Logic, and here it is. It's in your applications folder. We'll start Logic Pro, and this is exactly what it's going to look like. And while it's launching, there was another disk that I did not install. It doesn't ask you to install, and that's the demo content. Now the demo content, I recommend, if you have the room, putting it on there and checking it out, because there's some really good recordings on there, and you can start to see how it does it, you know, and they sound great. So I recommend checking it out. Now I'm going to register later and let it do its thing. And this is exactly what yours will look like. And I've gone ahead and, you know, set up my audio interface. So hopefully you'll have done that first. So it's going to scan for audio units. These are your effects and audio instruments that you might have already installed. I don't believe I have anything installed on this except for GarageBand. So it's going to go ahead and look. And no, I actually do have a couple on there. Anyway, while it's installing those, I do have my sound card ready to go. And that's the only thing you need to do, is just follow the directions of your sound card. You shouldn't need to do anything else. And the problem with setting a step-by-step process of how to learn Logic is everyone's different. If you're a guitar player, probably the first thing you want to start doing is laying down some guitar tracks, which would be audio. If you're a keyboard player, you probably want to lay down some MIDI, either external or some of the software instruments. If you're a producer or something, you might want to start laying down some beats and you know, work with Ultrabeat, the drum machine. Well, the first thing Logic does is it gives you a template library here, and you can see, you know, an empty project. There'll be nothing on there, or some guitar tones. These are effects that you can run your guitar through, or a collection of the instruments in Logic. All of these are great places to start. If you're a composer and you want to start, you know, composing either songwriter, rock, R&B, orchestral, hip-hop, electronic, you can do that. If you're a producer and you want to start mixing a project, you can do that. But we're going to just start with an empty project. And this is exactly what you will see. Logic will open a window and present you with an option to add some tracks. Do we want to do audio tracks, software, or external MIDI? And then we have some options here. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a audio instrument, and we'll do mono, and we'll do actually no, we'll do stereo because I have a keyboard in here. You can choose surround as well. I'm going to choose you know what, it's not using my sound card, so we're going to I'm going to have to actually set that up in a second. So we'll leave everything default right now. We just a stereo from inputs 1 and 2, and I'll go ahead and create those. And now if I go to Logic, Preferences, and Audio, this will be the menu, and you see it's wanting to record from my built-in microphone. I want it to record from the 828. That's my audio interface. I also have a duet, but that's not installed. So I'm going to do the 828 right here. I will leave everything default for now. We'll talk about how to optimize your system down the road, but for now just leave things at default and see how it works. And so we'll want to apply these changes, and changes are applied. I can close this, and now I want to go ahead and change the inputs. So this is the channel strip for this track, okay, this one on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and change the input. If I click on this, I can choose different inputs, and I believe 5 and 6 is my organ. Maybe it's 3 and 4. No, it is 5 and 6. So we're going to change that to 5 and 6. I'm going to set this to record. It's going to ask where I want to save it, and it already creates a Logic folder that's usually in your music folder. So I'm just going to leave, I'm going to actually, you know what, I'm going to put this on the desktop So Shift Command D gets you to the desktop real quick. I'm not going to bother naming it. I'm just going to save it. And then if I hit the R button, or if I hit record in the transport down here, a click will happen and it starts recording. And there we have it. Now if I play back, we'll hear this, what I just played. Now how's that for simple? Okay. Now let's say you wanted to create a MIDI track. You come to this plus sign and you create new tracks. And now I'm going to use a software instrument, and I'm just going to create one. And I'll let it do that. And it creates the track here, and then the library opens over here with all of these wonderful instruments that we installed today. And you'll see an acoustic piano. I'll go ahead and create an acoustic piano, and using my MIDI keyboard we'll try and get that playing. So there you have it. Now if I wanted to record this, again, same principle, hit R or hit record. Oops, except what did I do? I had the first track selected and it was record enabled. I don't want that. So I've got this track selected. This is record enabled. We're going to start from the beginning. And there you have it. I was able to immediately start recording MIDI and start recording audio. And that's exactly what you want to do when you start Logic for the first time. Get in there and start making music. Don't be afraid of it. It's really simple. And I just showed you how to create new tracks and start recording from the beginning. Now, if you want to change these and edit them in any way, you see these tool menus over here. We've got pointer tools, pencils, erasers, text, scissors. Let's look at the scissors tool. If I click and drag over these and select both of them and then hit the scissors tool, it wants to know if I want to keep or shorten these. Well, we're not going to worry about it. I'm just going to keep, and it cut both of those. And now if I go back to the pointer tool, and there's easier ways to get to those tools, we'll show you later, I can select these again. I can move them. I can put them in front of each other. I can put them all over the place, and that's how you can start arranging your little compositions. So this is the very first thing that you can start doing. You can start recording and you can start editing your tracks simply by creating new tracks and going over to the tools and figuring out what you want to do. A lot of them are self-explanatory, like solo, mute, zoom, and all of these tools are really powerful with lots of features and options, and we'll get into all of that down the road. But obviously you see how easy it is to launch Logic for the very first time and start recording audio or MIDI. So what are you waiting for? Go get to it. If you're really serious about becoming a Logic Studio power user, drop what you're doing and head to logicstudiotraining.com. We've got hours of Logic Studio tutorials for beginners like you've seen here, and some really advanced stuff to take your music to the next level. See you there.